a lot of weather stuff to talk about on here, so let's get started. We first see a ridge dominating over all of the western half of the United States, bringing a lot of those hotter and drier conditions. And we see a trough trying to dig in the northeast with a lot of unseasonable, cooler conditions, as well as some unstable conditions. And then next week, this ridge will likely shift eastward, and this will likely create the dry and hot temperatures over the East Coast. This could potentially be a heat wave, folks. So I need you guys to be listening very closely. And here comes your trough. We'll likely have a big trough digging in the western United States, potentially with some colder temperatures. You heard me, colder temperatures. We could potentially see upwards of 30 to 40 degree temperatures as highs, especially in the mountains. And then late week, this ridge still dominates over half of the country, except what's interesting is that it starts dominating over the western tier of the United States again, becoming a bit more elongated there. But the biggest threat for heat would likely be over the Ohio Valley and the Northeast. And then we take it into next weekend. This ridge does not move a whole lot. And here's a better look at that heat wave with your surface temperatures. And as we take it into early next week, past Father's Day, look at all of these 80s and 90s, potentially some triple digits mixed in there, especially in these grayer, more whiter shades there. That's 90 to 100 degrees, by the way. Very hot in the East Coast, and that just continues. As you see, as we bring it into Tuesday and Wednesday, that heat wave, like I said before, does not move a lot, and we could see some triple digits in Ohio, in the Ohio Valley and the Great Lakes region and southward. That'll be concerning there, especially for people in high-risk territory. And then as we head into Thursday the 20th, look at these temperatures. They're still widespread in the 90s to triple digits. We're still seeing triple digits in Ohio, Michigan, Illinois, and Indiana by the time we reach this time frame. Again, things could change a whole lot with this. This is just one model, but they've been very consistent with showing this very prolonged heat wave here, which is definitely going to happen. However, what is uncertain is who gets the triple digit surface temperatures and who doesn't. All right, so I can't really answer that for you right now, but like I said, these are the areas where I'm seeing triple digits right now. All right, maybe a bit eastward than that, but those are the primed areas I'm seeing right now. So just be aware of that. And then as we take it into next weekend, holy cow, look at widespread triple digit heat across all of this region. All right, please hydrate on water and please stay outside for limited periods of time, especially if you live in the Ohio Valley next week. Guys, I'm going to show you the actual jet stream because look what it does. When that heat wave comes through, it's all the way up here in Canada. So guess what that means? You have no energy to get rain or thunderstorms going, with maybe a little bit of energy in this area. But other than that, like these white areas, like these areas and these areas, I don't think you're going to see a really good chance at rain. And even in these light gray areas here, that's a weak jet flow. However, like I said, that could potentially cause drought over this entire region, especially if that jet stream goes all the way north into Canada, which seems to be the most likely product right now. So I tell you guys, you're going to have to water your plants a ton over the course of a lot of next week, if not all of next week, in this region, the Northeast and Ohio Valley being the potential areas that get the worst of it. All right, folks, now that we're done talking about the long term and what could happen next week, let's talk about what could happen today and tomorrow. We have the slight risk of severe weather positioned over the northeastern United States, as well as the slight risk here in the Central Plains. Both of those threats are wind threat driven, especially this one in the Central and High Plains here. And then we can also see that wind driven threat up here in the Northeast, along with that hail threat, which could potentially be severe on top of that. But as you can see, our tornado threat is not that high. We have a little bit of veering with height in this area right here. However, it's just not enough to get a 5% tornado risk out there. So I think the tornado risk over here is going to be fairly isolated, thankfully. Now let's take a look at the simulated radar with the HRRR model and see what the models think. By the time we reach this evening, we're seeing a lot of thunderstorm activity over here. Some of these could be on the severe side, especially down here in the lower high plains. I wouldn't be surprised to see some heavier thunderstorms there either, down here in Florida either. But over here in the Northeast, this is where we can start spiking those wind damage producing thunderstorms. And that'll likely be very evident. But it will, especially through the evening, but it will begin to weaken as we head throughout the evening and overnight. However, the Central Plains threat will likely get going overnight, all right? Around that ridge, we're likely going to sustain these thunderstorms, and these could be pretty big wind producers as we head into the overnight hours and into tomorrow morning. Then we go into tomorrow's threat, and then that's a wild card right now, and then we lead it into tomorrow's threat in the northern plains, and then it's the end of the model run. Let's take a peek at what the National Hurricane Center thinks about our tropical potential over the course of the next 7 days. We see this yellow area right here, which is upwards of a 20 to 30% chance of development. I really don't think this is going to be a problem to the United States. However, this orange one down here, they have a little bit of a 40% to 60% confidence in that potential for something tropical developing here, and that could potentially affect portions of Texas. Like I said, those models are very crazy and all over the place, so I can't say that for sure, but the models have been very consistent with it. Alright folks, this is the last thing we're going to look at, and then we're going to get off here. But taking a look at what the GFS ensemble models think. Of course, you know the GFS is going to be the GFS and show this major disturbance that hits somewhere, and you already know that the GFS probably has like 20 of these on here. Look at this. It shows by Sunday the 23rd a deepening low pressure just off the coast of Florida. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen, but we'll watch it as we go into next week. Of course, that could be right, but I never believe the GFS. I always tend to believe the Euro model a lot more. And even then, at the end of the model run, the GFS shows yet another tropical disturbance making itself known, hitting Texas. And I think with the Euro, it's going to be a lot less intense than the GFS here. And as we fast forward into that 23rd time frame where the GFS showed that big storm, look at that. It doesn't even show a big low at all. It just shows some tropical action just off the western coast of Florida. However, it does show that 1011 millibar low. So both of those models actually are agreeing that we could potentially perhaps see something tropical just off the coast of eastern Mexico and perhaps southeastern Texas as we head into 2 weeks from now. Obviously, we can't predict that far out, and we're just looking at 2 models, so a lot of other model runs will come in handy later on once we get closer. But for now, guys, have a great rest of your Friday, and I will see you in the next video.